Wait. Want to do what with it now? Oh. Hello. Today I'll be going over and talking about the rulebook and the Force list book for Deadzone 3rd edition. The token sheet is just one sheet. You get a multitude of different tokens which you can pop off and leave them in if you want, but I'd get a little bag to put them in, or a couple. You've got the items up here. I'll just zoom them in up top like so, and they've got different things on them. We've got the ammo here, then AP ammo, so you've got 3 ammo, 2 AP ammo. You've got med kits, you've got frag grenades, intel, adrenaline, I believe that is, stun grenade, smoke grenade, one's adrenaline, one's something else, not sure, a stun baton, which is this one, a combat knife, and a booby trap. There are more items than in 2nd edition, but there's still only one booby trap. Next we have the wounds on this side, and we have the activation markers, which you usually put down when you've finished activating a model. We've got the it burn markers, so if you've got a flamethrower or something with the it burns keyword, it will set things on fire. Lovely stuff. We've also got things such as these, which yeah, not sure what they do, and no one knows what they do. I'm assuming they're going to be for something in the future. These things are for the forge files. They're for the life support. Nothing else has got life support. You've then got the victory tokens, which you give to you or your opponent depending on how many points you've got for killing models, for getting objectives and the like. Speaking of objectives, we've got these down here which have different numbers on, which depending on the scenario you go for will tell you which ones to place where. Turning on to the other side, it's a bit different. So those items, they're all the same now. That's because when you play a game, you choose 8 items from the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 from the 18 so there's going to be 10 left over, and scatter them around. You roll 2 dice, and then the first dice is the across, and then the other one is column. If we turn onto the other side, the items are now all the same. That's because they're all random when you choose them. You put 8 down, picking one at random each time, and then you put them this side up when you place them down in a game. The wound counters have also expanded to show more. So if you've got more activation markers from something else, you could use these to show 1 wound, 2 wounds, and even 3 wounds, which some models have got a hell of a lot of health. Some of the it burns markers on this side are smoke, which can become very useful. We've got the toxic cloud markers, which is a bit like smoke but will hurt. We've got the prey markers, which only really used for the nameless and the vermin, because it lets everyone who's been targeted by prey weapons it makes them easier to hit, essentially. And then on this side we've got more victory points going up from 2 and 4, and then it shows the objectives on the other side just being worth 1 each. So I suppose you can mix it up if you're doing your own, or depending on the mission, have multiple victory points. So you could have these on 1s and then the other side have on 2s and 4s. They're not bad. Again, it's only these shield ones here, which no idea what they're for, and no one can explain it. So in the comments below, if you can explain it, it'd be awesome. It's got a nice piece of artwork. It's basically the half of the new 2-player starter set, featuring more the GCPS, including a new character, Therese Washington I believe her name is, and a bit of the vermin below. Everything's pretty nice. Oh, you'll see on this side the vermin, which I'll show you in the next book. Shows you the contents, which, well, it's contents page, isn't it, and credits of who did most of the stuff. The only thing it doesn't say is all the names of playtesters, which was there quite a lot of them? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but usually I've noticed that Mantic does name all the playtesters, but good lord, there must have been a lot here. It's got for rule development Ian Davis, Andy Sharp, and a Claudio Schaefer. I'm sorry if I've really pronounced your name wrong, I do apologise. Editing was Rob Berman, Matt Gilbert. Graphic design and layout, Duncan Aldis. Photography, Ben Sandum. And then playtesting, there was quite a few people. Thanks to all the many playtesters in the Council of 7, we couldn't have done this without you. So you know who you are if you help playtest 3rd edition. So then we go on to a bit of background on this page, and then we've got an obvious welcome to Deadzone on here. What you need to play, model stats, which have changed a bit. Each model's got HP now. Most troops, unless you're taking the rather large models, have got 2 hit points. Some have got 1, some have got 3. 1 or 2 I think have got 4. Health ranges in this game at present from 1 hit point to 7, depending on what you are and how big you are. Next we have weapon stats on this page, and then dice tests, things such as shooting, surviving, and grenades and the like. Then it goes on to the rules proper, starting with what's a friendly model, enemy model, and a neutral model. Cubes and stacks, so how high something is, what's a cube, how high is a cube, and the like. Positioning within a cube, showing one of the new plague models. I don't know how that's got 7 health, because it's not really as big as I expected, but hey ho. Then it's got line of sight, and this is one of the things people were bothered about. It does actually show how line of sight works. So everything within the base, you get line of sight. So as you can see here, I'll just zoom in a little bit. Everything in this red area you can't target. Everything in this green area you can. Likewise on bigger models, the height is to the head, so these shoulder pillars you can't shoot, sword can't shoot, some of the more sticky outy bits of the base can't shoot as well, which I know people's got complaints about, but I do think it works. I've had no problems with it myself. Also shows, if I just zoom out, there we go. Ooh, zooming out a bit too much, there we go. Shows you examples of the line of sight on this page, rounds and turns, rolling command dice. Also, games last for 5 turns, which before it was a case of just go until you've run out of models or you get your victory points, which adds a layer of urgency, which I like. Shows what the command dice do, and you can re-roll your dice if you want to spend your command dice, because, well, you might have a command dice icon that's pretty useless. For instance, you might have an extra close combat, which might not be that useful to you. Also shows actions, and if you want to move, you can move diagonally, which would be pretty obvious, but yeah, fair enough. Also shows moving, which is a lot more better explained because some people had a bit of difficulty. Now it's a case of, if you want to get into this area, you're going to have to go around, and it's a bit more clear in this one because it shows you can't go up around this way, you're going to have to go around this way. It also shows the gap types, which it did before, but it's fair clearer. Next, it shows different actions, which it was doing before, such as movement and the like, going into assault actions, and damage and death, resolving damage. Also got additional rules such as being pinned, slammed into walls, falling, scatter, which is a lot clearer. It wasn't that bad before, but I feel it's a fair bit clearer now. Partial cubes, which kind of was a thing before, but really is a lot better explained. So if you thought, well, can I make that jump, can I not? It's a case of either you can or either you can't. Pretty black and white. Then it goes on to the keywords, which are basically the special rules that different units and weapons will have, such as AP, which is arm penetration for ignoring armor, dismantle, which is for against vehicles and the like, evade, which allows you to move if you've got shot, and honourable, which if you're targeting something that's pinned, can't really do it. If something's fleeing, can't chase after it. Quite a few pages of specials. How many pages is there? Let's just have a look see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. About 10-11 pages of special rules, which isn't bad. It's not a big book overall. Then goes into the items such as booby traps, intel, shock buttons and the like. Oh, there's stimulants is the little pill, and the needle is adrenaline shot. Half right. Also contains some new artwork, which I'm pretty sure is sort of based on the models, but kind of digitally drawn or altered, so it doesn't just look like models. It actually looks like they're drawings. It's weird. I don't know how to explain it properly, but that's a really good picture of GCPS against Matsudans, which are basically space sumo lizard samurais. Next we have playing a game opposite a nice picture of the Asterian Spectra. preparing strike team, setting up the battlefield. There's 16 scenarios, so you roll one dice, and then depending on the result you roll another dice, and then that's what you get. And then place items and objectives, determine who goes first, winning the game and starting the game. Recon roll, which has been expanded to give you a bit of bonus depending on who wins. And then secret missions if you want to use them, which I feel because it's an open roll, unless you've got some sort of sheet to hide your dice roll behind, not going to be that easy. We'll see. And then it goes through the different scenarios, which, like I said, there are 16 of them, which is a lot more than before, which is nice. And then it goes into the double page spread, which is basically a bigger and more detailed version of the 2-player starter set, such as this bloke up here with the thermal rifle, I think it is, shooting all the way across to this vermin, getting his jaw blown out. Fantastic. Next after that is some background, which there is some background in the Forcebook, but this is an overall background. There is some background concentrating on different factions if they have some very standout, noteworthy piece history, like the Mandrake Rebellion, which is a lot to do with the Marauders, a little bit to do with the Rebs. Bit of background in how the Warpath universe, which Deadzone is based, is shaped and whatnot. The Great Horror, which is the Plague, such as this bloke. Dead Zones, which explaining what is a dead zone. Then we've got Insurrection, the Interstellar War. There's some other background fluff over here. What else have we got? Fate of a Forged Star, which is about the Forge Fathers, because they contain planets and stars and start doing stuff with them. Basically like Infinity War, the film, it's kind of like that, sort of, and a bit more. And then going into the bit of the Rebs. Infestation, which is talking a little bit about the Vermin. Maison Labs, which is a faction in Deadzone, basically will kick your puppy down the stairs, shoot it in the head, bring it back to life with cybernetics, then blow it up for science, honestly. And then we've got a map of the different planets, which is nice. They put a lot more effort into this, which is I like. And then it goes into campaigns, which you didn't have to. How you win one, how you upgrade your models with various stat upgrades, special rules and the like, just to give each model a different characterful feel. Pretty nice over here. Credits to buy new units and new stuff. And then on the back it's got a sheet to build your strike force, which is your army. Got all the stats along here, and then it's at the bottom, permission to copy for personal use, which, what else would you do with it? So yeah, rulebook's pretty nice overall, I think. It's not that big actually. How many pages we got here? 88, 89, including the back covers, 90 pages, so 88 pages technically, which it's not that big. Plus it's separate to the force list, which is what we're going to talk about now. The force list book is a lot bigger. 128 pages, so an extra 40-ish pages more than the army book, but then again we've got 10 factions, how to build your army, and also what each model in the faction does. So, and I'll just go over this. This is basically the vermin side of the 2-player starter set, and it makes a nice picture. I do think it's nice, and just thought get it out of the way. Contents, building a strike team, then choosing units, then Asterians, Enforcers, Forge Fathers, GCPS, Marauders, Maison Labs, Nameless, Plague, Rebs and Vermin. 10 factions, a lot of units, and then it's got the credits like before, nothing different there. Then it's got some nice photos and artwork of the Asterian Spectre and this new thing, the Corruption I believe it's called. Goes into a force list, how to build your army, choosing your units, and then goes into each faction, goes into a bit of fluff into each faction and a nice picture, and then it goes into the army, starting with the leaders. Then it goes on to the troops slash specialists, because some options contain the troop variant and specialist version. For example, we've got the Cypher on here. You've got 2 troop Cyphers, you've got the no rifle and the force rifle, and then you've got the specialist variant, which has a light missile launcher and a fission beamer. And then after the troops and specialists, there are the support options, which depending on what you have for your force, you might have 1, you might have 2, you might have 3. Everyone's got at least 1 support, got quite a few troops and quite a few specialists. Everyone's got at least 2 or 3 leaders, so you've got various choices on how to build your force, a lot of choice. Then it goes on to Living Legends, which you can only have 1 in your force, so choose carefully, and they can't take items. They're basically named characters for all intents and purposes. Then after the after the Living Legends, it goes into full colour pictures of, well, photos should I say, of each of the models. It won't show some of them, mainly because they're not out yet. Before they came out just as or just after this book was going to print, such as the second support for the Asterians, the Marionette Phantom. That just came out before this was released. It came out for Overdrive, but it is out for the Deadzone. And then on this side it's got the weapons, which is nice. What was confusing a lot of people was that they didn't know what weapons looked like what. Here, pretty clear cut, which is nice. Then it goes into the Enforcers, which has a nice picture here of some Enforcers and some jet bikes going into a red dusty planet, could be Mars. And yeah, same for leaders, then troops slash specialists, then supports, then Living Legends. One thing I'll just touch on, it shares all the stats of the models obviously, and then for each unit type it just says right what it's called, what type it is, what weapons it's got, what range they are, what AP, what keywords they got, if they've got frenzy or arm penetration and whatnot, how many victory points is the model worth with those weapons, and what's the points cost of that model with those weapons. You don't have to look at the end of a faction list to see what weapons they can take. It says it there. So for instance, for a I've just gone a bit too far. For a Peacekeeper, for example, you've got Peacekeeper with a Dominator rifle and an energy gauntlet, that's troop. Dominator rifle and a wristblade, that's troop. Dominator rifle and an energy gauntlet with a shield, that's a specialist. Burst laser and an energy gauntlet, that's a specialist. Energy gauntlet, incinerator and energy gauntlet. That's specialist. There's no, well, if I take this, could this change it? It's a case of this does this, that does that. That's what it's going to be. Pretty clear cut. You know what you're going to take. You could use this so easily just having a look through it as you're building your models. Right, what am I going to make? I'm going to make a enforcer with a missile launcher. Ah, that's a specialist, so I'm going to need a troop to take with it. Okay, fine. So then it comes to the pictures of all the stuff. Then it comes on to the Forge Fathers, which is basically space dwarves. All the same. I'm not going to go through it all. It's all alphabetical. So the first one was the Asterians. The last one is the Vermin, because that's how it comes last alphabetically. And here it has a picture of a I want to say a GCPS Strider and some GCPS against some Rebs. Although this model right here is a dwarven character, and she's not in the book. Yeah, a lot of characters aren't in the book, but Mantic have said they're gonna, well, Easy Army are gonna put some stuff on their site at some point, and there's potentially going to be a book at some point with characters in, I'd imagine. The books are pretty decent, I think. The rulebook cleans all the stuff that was a problem from 2nd edition and adds a few bits just to make things a bit more interesting. The token sheet is a nice touch. Didn't have to do it, well, I suppose they did have to do it to include things that weren't there before. The Force List book, well, I just like what changes they've made, but that's coming from someone who's played the game before. If you've not played the game before, you're going to be more interested in how the game plays, so I'd say you'd be more interested in the rulebook, and from that perspective it's a lot easier to know what game to play, well, how the game plays, should I say, how it works, what does what, this does that. Pretty bog standard. The 2 books are sold together with a token sheet, and it's 30 quid, which was 5 quid more than before. The book before was 25 quid originally, and it was a lot smaller because there weren't as many factions before. I think there was about 6. Every faction has got some new stuff in it. So if you've played Deadzone but want to get back into it from 1st or 2nd edition, you'll be happy with what changes. If you're new, then you will be very, very impressed. Do you need to get the 2-player starter set? Maybe if you've not played before, but if you just want to go from scratch, there's a good reason with that as well. The mat isn't that expensive. Well, I say not that expensive, 25 quid, but it does look nice. You need some D8s. You need the command dice, which are black and white, black dice with white pictures, and before it was the other way around, white dice with black pictures on. And then you need the models, really. Might be a bit more, oh, and terrain, obviously. It might be a bit more expensive going down that route, but if you don't want to use the Vermin or GCPS that come in the 2-player starter set, it's not a bad way to do things. And obviously you get the books. I think they are very, very well done. And so that's it for this video. Goodbye for now.